Hey, what's up? This is Argument Time here, where we are looking at your hottest fashion takes and opinions. Massive thanks to everyone who submitted these, either through Instagram stories or the YouTube community tab. We're going to be going through some of the best, some of the spiciest ones. There were way too many for a single video. Maybe we'll make it into two, but yeah, massive thanks for such a good response there. Interesting to see as well, a lot of these opinions you guys submitted, there is often someone with directly the opposite as well. So it was cool to see a nice spectrum of different opinions here. Now let's get going with some of these hot fashion takes. Techwear is overpriced. Quite a few of you hit me with this one, and it's not hard to see why, with a lot of the more popular luxury techwear brands coming in with very expensive pieces. I feel like there are two main ways of looking at whether something is overpriced or not. Firstly, the cost of all the materials, the cost of making it, versus how much people are actually charging for the end product. And secondly, the cost of buying one thing versus the cost of an alternative of some kind. Looking at the first point, a lot of the most expensive high-end techwear clothing, the actual cost of production, of manufacture, is probably more than you would anticipate. Cost of raw materials, things like Gore-Tex, things like Shoal or Dry Skin, the actual cost per meter of that material is extremely expensive relative to your standard cotton or nylon things. That alone can drive the garment cost way up. In some cases, hardware too is going to drive the cost of things up. Cobra buckles, Fidlock V buckles, things like that. All of those will add to garment cost. Construction as well, the actual way these things are put together can often be expensive too. If you're looking at Gore-Tex jackets, for example, anything good is going to have taped seams on the inside. That process of doing so is far more expensive than just running two seams together with a sewing machine. Another thing that has to be factored in with some brands is the cost of innovation or research and development. You've got all of these new features and things coming out, materials being used in new ways, iterations, improvements, things like that. It costs time and money to do those things, to come up with those new solutions to problems, and it's not always easy to see that full process in a final garment. It has to be said as well, this is a relatively niche subgenre of fashion, so you're not going to be able to benefit from the economies of scale that you would have from a fast fashion brand making tens of thousands of the same t-shirt. In terms of comparable things as well, even at the very top end of techwear, where we're talking €1,500 jackets, there are other luxury brands that are charging €1,500 for a jacket or more. Techwear is absolutely not exclusive for having very expensive products at the very top end, and in fact there are plenty of brands which make more expensive clothing that offer less from a technical or a feature perspective than some of this techwear stuff. So yes, techwear is absolutely expensive relative to a lot of other subgenres of fashion. There's very little getting around that, but I do think it's possible to justify those costs. And if you look as well at the fact where a lot of these top-end techwear brands using these high-end materials tend to all come at a similar sort of price. So either there is a kind of global collusion with all of these brands charging very high prices, or it just costs a lot of money to make this stuff. You're Anthony Tectano in the techwear scene. I don't know what you're talking about. I would never rip off someone else's video format. Those dirt cheap Taobao or AliExpress joggers are the perfect gateway into techwear because you can see if this stuff looks good on you before committing more money. Definitely see where you're coming from here. However, I think it's equally likely to put you off because it's going to give you a false impression of what this stuff actually looks and feels like. If you take some of the things that I've checked out in the past couple of weeks, for example, if I had just got those cargos and I kind of thought, oh, this is what techwear is, I would probably not be very interested in committing more money. Or on the other hand, if you do see this stuff and think, hey, yeah, this really is the style for me, I'm going to go and buy something better now, well, then you've just wasted the money that you've spent on those cargos because you're immediately going to go out and buy something better. Personally, I think it's more productive to look at those things which are really wearable first as a gateway, but maybe not too out there aesthetically. So then you get a kind of sense of like, yeah, this is what techwear is about, this is kind of what it feels like, this is the kind of benefit it can offer me, but then branch out from there into these more aesthetically diverse areas, into these more kind of out there, more outlandish styles. Because then those things that you've already got as kind of a base, you can still use those with more outlandish clothes, but you'll still find them comfy, you'll still find them wearable, you can still fall back on them, and you're going to get longer term value out of them. Summer techwear is just normal clothes with stupid looking sunglasses. I feel attacked. Tilak better than Arc'teryx? I definitely think Tilak is more underrated compared to Arc'teryx, that's for sure. And if you hold this opinion, then you're definitely going to like a video that I've got coming up in the next couple of weeks. Affordable brands like Orbit Gear and Riot Division are just as influential as big ones like Acronym. That is a spicy take. And I suppose where you're coming from is this idea that more affordable brands, more accessible to more people, so you're going to see more people wearing them, and thus a brand like Orbit Gear is going to have more visibility and kind of be part of more techwear content than more expensive brands which are only open to a few people, even if they are kind of hailed as the gold standard. The frequency that you'll see things like that Orbit Gear strap no doubt has inspired a lot of people in techwear to pick up this kind of style or pick up Orbit Gear bags for themselves, and probably now you're more likely to see those bag straps than Acronym ones. However, that's forgetting the fact that Orbit Gear was almost certainly inspired, shall we say, by the Acronym bag ecosystem and things like the 3A1 and the 3A3 TS. Since that Orbit Gear bag strap would probably not exist without Acronym coming before it, I think it would be hard to argue that the two were equally influential. One has influenced the other. Saucon is the best place to go to see cutting-edge fashion. What's Saucon? Wait. Gorilla Group is a terrible recommendation for most people new to techwear. Bricked 99% of the time. I think there's definitely some truth in that. Gorilla Group is a very directional brand, I think. They have quite a strong aesthetic, and I don't necessarily think that a lot of their products can just be kind of worn or styled with anything. A fair few of their pieces are going to end up looking a bit goofy if you're just wearing it with a regular streetwear wardrobe, because so much of their stuff relies on heavy layering or oversized elements or extended proportions, things like that, and they work much better when paired up with other things that have that similar kind of look and feel to them. Am I new to D&D? Yes, I started playing at the beginning of the pandemic, so about a year and a quarter now, and a couple of weeks ago my character just died, so RIP my warlock. We're going to come back with someone new though, maybe a druid. Creating subgenres within fashion only creates tribalism and stints creativity. I partly agree with this. I do think that subgenres should exist, but they should be descriptive rather than prescriptive. And what I mean by that is you shouldn't be thinking, I want to wear a techwear outfit today, or I want to wear an avant-garde outfit or a streetwear outfit or whatever, but instead thinking, what do I want to wear today? What's going to be most appropriate for where I'm going? What do I fancy? What do I want to look like? Am I feeling flamboyant? Am I not? Whatever. Using kind of those feelings, what you actually want, to just wear something that you think looks cool. At the end, maybe the result is, hey, this looks like a techwear outfit to me. This has a lot of the hallmarks of techwear style. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it's a little bit of everything. Maybe it's, hey, this is kind of a streetwear outfit, but then I've mixed in some elements of something else as well. It all kind of works together and it's fine. The sentiment of this, though, is definitely true. Don't think that you have to fit very neatly into one predetermined subgenre box. You can use that to describe the kind of things that you're looking at or thinking about, but it doesn't matter if you go outside that. You can be as creative as you like. Vans, slip-ons, and Nike Dunks will always be hated in a fit unless it's on the Acronym team. I think they end up getting hated even if they are on the Acronym team. I do get why people feel this way, because they see outfits that feel very futuristic, cyberpunk, paired up with shoes that are very kind of classic in nature and worn and appreciated by a more mainstream audience. There's this feeling of, oh, shouldn't those be really technical or something as well? But for most cases, comfort is the main piece of performance that you want from your piece of footwear, and a lot of people find Dunks or Vans very easy to wear and very comfy, so why not, I say. Techwear is hard to get into. That's definitely something that I felt 5 or so years ago when I started getting into this style, and that's partly why I started making these videos, to help document my learning process and my greater understanding of this stuff, because it was very decentralized. It was hard to get decent information on a bunch of different things. It's hard for me to say if that's still the case as someone looking out rather than looking in, but I definitely think there's a lot more content out there that's easily accessible compared to before. You've got the Techwear clothing subreddit where you'll find loads of outfit images, and people in the comments will always detail what they're wearing, so you can get some kind of understanding and ability to recognize things. You've got, you know, not just 5 years worth of videos on my channel now, but there's other people that make techwear videos and content and stuff as well that was never around before when I started looking at this stuff. Then again, there's probably more dropshippers and articles by people that don't really understand techwear talking about it than there were before, so maybe it still is quite a difficult experience Googling techwear for the first time and knowing what information is useful and what information isn't. If you would consider yourself a newcomer to techwear though, definitely let me know in the comments if you feel like from a resource perspective there's something missing or something that would be useful that you've not really been able to find, because that's partly what I want to do with this channel. I want to make it that easy resource for people to help understand, you know, what's cool, what's interesting about techwear, why you should want to get involved with it. And if there's something that I've missed, it's definitely something I can look at making. Hashtag techwear is just cosplay. There were quite a few hashtag techwear comments actually. I do agree with this, and while I wish that they'd used a different word because it makes it quite confusing for people, I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing in principle. It's just a different kind of content. I've noticed a fair bit of the high visibility hashtag techwear content on Instagram does kind of follow that cosplay formula, where people will have their techwear costume of sorts in exactly the same way that they would dress up as a character. And in fact, I've seen a fair few people where they describe themselves as cosplayers, and yeah, some of the stuff they do is in character, some of the stuff they do is techwear stuff. I think people maybe get annoyed at the idea of a casual observer not understanding or being able to recognize the difference between a techwear outfit and a hashtag techwear costume. I think at the end of the day though, people are kind of free to be interested in whatever they want. Some people as onlookers are just going to see hashtag techwear, they'll think the kind of cyberpunk costume kind of thing is quite cool, and they'll kind of leave it at that. Some people will think, hey, I want to get more involved in this, I want to dig a little deeper into this word techwear, what does it mean, what are the kind of options available to me, and then maybe they'll find out a bit more, and then it's their choice whether they want to look more into the kind of fashion side of it or not. And for one final one, everyone on our techwear clothing looks the same. There is no originality within the scene. I think if you look through the techwear subreddit, there are definitely themes that you'll see on a fairly regular basis. There are particular pieces, particular brands that will show up again and again, even kind of particular styles of photography. I think this is a social media thing as much as it is a techwear thing, where people will come to recognize certain pieces or brands or whatever. They see them, they think, oh cool, they upvote that content gets more visibility, more people look to pick up those pieces and make their own similar content, and it just kind of snowballs. However, I do think there is a lot of content on there, and if you have a look around, you will definitely find things that buck the trend, people that are willing to experiment and do things in slightly different ways. Even if it's not always the content that gets the most upvotes, that's not necessarily an indicator of quality. I also definitely believe in being the change you want to see as well. If there's a particular brand or a particular style that you think like, why is no one doing this? Then hey, go pick it up yourself, give it a go, and maybe you will inspire other people to look in a slightly different direction as well. All right, I think I'm pretty hot taked out. Massive thanks to everyone who submitted your comments. There were so many good ones. It was great to read through all of those. And yeah, I would definitely like to address some more of these in a future video. So really hope you like this one. If you did, definitely let me know, and I can maybe look to make this a bit more of a regular format, or at least do a follow-up of some kind. If you've got any extra thoughts on the topics we went through over this video, then definitely stick them down there in the comments, and it'll probably end up being its own little debate section, so I'll look forward to reading through that. But that is everything for this video, so thanks very much for watching. Give it a like if you enjoyed it, it's super helpful, and we'll see you in the next one. Shout out to DJK, massively appreciate the support, and yeah, that's exactly what I want to do, just try and take a look at pretty much everything that falls under this techwear spectrum in some way, because to be honest, I find it all pretty interesting. Shout out to Lanky Leo. The shoes back there are, of course, the acronym Presto. These are the Racer Pink version. These are actually modified because they don't have the cage pattern on. It was removed by the previous owner, but I still think they look pretty cool anyways. Thanks for making it all the way to the end of the video. If you want to catch some more, there's going to be links going up at the top, and if you haven't subscribed yet, then definitely consider doing so, because we've got loads of videos. Maybe there'll be a follow-up for this one, maybe there won't, but we've got some ACG content, we've got some Tillac stuff coming up in the future, as I alluded to earlier in the video. So yeah, lots of cool brands that we'll be talking about soon.